Thank you all for being here. Today, I'm announcing my wholehearted endorsement of Ted Dabrowski for governor of Illinois. I have known and worked with Ted for over 13 years. I first met him when I was a new state representative. He was my go-to researcher and sounding board on a wide range of issues, from property taxes to government transparency to crony corporate government handouts. On the rare occasion when I was allowed to present one of my reform bills in committee, it would be Ted's research and in some cases his testimony I relied on to make my case. I wasn't the only one. I like to say you may not know Ted, but you know his work. For 15 years, first at IPI and then at WirePoints, Ted and his team have been putting out the research, the commentary, and the solutions to Illinois' most exacerbable problems. His data has been cited across Illinois by politicians, including others running for governor, and in major publications like the Wall Street Journal. The reason many people know how dysfunctional Chicago public schools are is in large part because Ted put out the information. I see others parrot his data that in 80 schools in CPS, no student is at grade level in math. It shocks the conscience. It's immoral. These aren't just raw statistics, because behind every statistic are hundreds of young people who are not being educated and are being set up for a life of failure. And taxpayers, where CPS spends $30,000 per student, also Ted's research, are getting fleeced. Many of Illinois' problems are not new, and Governor Pritzker has not solved them and in fact has made matters worse. Illinois cannot survive 4 more years of Governor Pritzker's policies. He has had 7 years and complete control of the legislature to change the fiscal direction of the state and implement policies to make our state more prosperous, and he has done the opposite. He also had $13 billion of additional direct payments from the federal government and billions more that went to businesses and individuals that helped prop up the economy for the last 5 years. He spent all the extra money and raised taxes to boot. He could have made lasting, revolutionary changes to budgeting, the property tax and pension systems, business regulation, parental rights, and so much more. He used his power instead to enlarge government, add more restrictions to businesses, and diminish parental rights. At the same time, he made Illinois a travel destination for abortion and told schools they can secretly misgender students behind their parents' backs. Just a few data points. Here's Pritzker's record. Budget increases of 40%, up over $15 billion, despite outmigration. Protecting criminal illegal aliens by refusing to cooperate with ICE. First in the nation Safety Act that has seen criminals released onto the street to reoffend. Every year, dozens of people are victimized, in some cases murdered, by people released while out on serious felony arrests. Illinois job growth is stagnant. We barely have more jobs than we did 7 years ago. Chicago kicked off 2025 with downtown office occupancy rates at record high vacancies as the market posted its second worst year on record. Illinois under J.B. Pritzker now has the highest property taxes in the nation and the highest overall state and local tax burden. Illinois has become a mecca for crony handouts to green energy companies. Pritzker signed deals with the Chinese Communist Party affiliated Goshen to give them $536 million in subsidies, and with Rivian to give them $827 million in subsidies for his green energy fantasies. His green energy scam has accelerated Illinois' looming energy crisis by shutting down reliable base load production because he believes that the air that you breathe out is a pollutant. Electric bills have skyrocketed and are going even higher. He penned deals for companies that make fake meat in a test tube. Thankfully, that company never even started because their product is unmarketable. But it shows you how stupid his people at DCEO are. Illinois still has the highest cost for students going to public universities compared to other schools in their conferences, with the exception of a few private universities. Pritzker defends and supports illegal aliens over citizens. He handed them billions in Medicaid support in a system that was more advantageous than our developmentally disabled receive. Most recently, Pritzker threatened every business in the state by signing a bill that creates general jurisdiction, which means companies that do business in the state could be sued in Illinois courts even if they're not based here and the actions occur outside the state. Crane's Chicago business called this toxic. So much more could be said about his record. The problems at DCFS, State Institutions for the Developmentally Disabled, IDOT, all have systemic problems. Pritzker squandered 7 years, billions of new revenue, and political power he had to make things better. As to the outside candidates, I know them well. They can't win. And if they were to gain office, in some cases, they won't even know what to do. And in other cases, you can't trust them to do what they will do. How bad was Bailey? In 2018, with Rauner at his political nadir and Sam McCann taking GOP votes from Rauner, Rauner still received 123,918 more votes than Bailey in the burbs, 57,263 more votes in suburban Cook, and 66,655 more votes in the Collars. When you look at Cook and the Collars overall, Rauner received 246,836 more in 2018 than Bailey did in 2022. That same residual name ID he has entering the race is an albatross around his neck. Stories like these are easy to resuscitate. Pritzker, Bailey's private school curriculum includes ancient ideas and racist ideas. Or this one, GOP candidate for governor Darren Bailey denounced for saying Holocaust doesn't even compare to abortion atrocities. In fact, his own running mate, Aaron Delmar, recently referred to him as a terrible politician and argued why he shouldn't have been supported in 2022. That happened just a couple months ago. I supported Bailey in 22, but we have a better option this time around. No one knows the issues better than Ted, and subsequently, nobody is better positioned to attract independent suburban voters on the merits of who can do better for Illinois families. I call on social conservatives. We're calling on all our pro-life and pro-family voters to join us in supporting someone who shares our values and is in the best position to win fighting for them. So this is what we need. We need a common sense conservative like Ted. We need Ted Dabrowski for governor, and I am turning the microphone now over to my colleague in the State House for so many years, the guy who we went back and forth, whether it's pensions, property taxes, you name it. Tom Morrison and I aligned, and I so appreciate him being here today.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Tom Morrison, former Republican Illinois State Representative from Northwest Cook County, Palatine. I represented the area for 12 years, and during that time, I saw up close the administrations of Governor Quinn and Rauner and Pritzker, and I was also in the inaugural Edgar Fellows class, the organization that he started for emerging leaders. It's no secret that Illinois faces extraordinary challenges across a broad range of issues. Many of these challenges are common to the states, whether red or blue. But especially in the past 20 years, and tragically, too many times to count, our state government, its top leaders from all three branches, frankly, have made these difficult situations far, far worse. Whether it's through self-dealing, incompetence, cowardice, maybe a combination of all three. Virtually every Illinois resident and business is worse off due to this failed leadership. Our state is hungry for a change in direction. But we don't just put up any Republican candidate to take on J.B. Pritzker. We need somebody who's up to the task. Someone who has both studied deeply and identified how all these difficult issues connect. And better yet, how we can and how we must solve them together. We need someone with integrity, competence, and courage. Someone who has the confidence of voters across the political spectrum and from every part of our great state. And we need someone with the crossover appeal to take on and defeat J.B. Pritzker next November. My friend Ted Dabrowski is such a leader. For the past 15 years, I've known Ted, and whether I was in office or out, I've been so grateful for his insights and understanding and how to get Illinois on the new and better path that we're capable of and that we deserve if we get the right leadership. So today, I'm enthusiastically endorsing Ted Dabrowski to be our next governor of Illinois. Thank you.
So, my name's Bob Grogan. I'm the former elected county auditor here in DuPage. Is that better? Got it. Thank you. Sorry. I'm the former elected county auditor here in DuPage. Auditing is probably a lost art in the state of Illinois. I try and keep that thought alive. That's one of the things that Ted and I align with, amongst many other things. But I've traveled around this state extensively. I've been involved in conservative and Republican causes, and I just have a couple observations to sort of tell you how I arrive at my full-throated endorsement for Ted. Winston Churchill said, the absolute worst form of government is democracy, except for everything else. We have to get through some democracy. We have a primary. Primaries are ugly. We have to talk about people that we agree with on many issues. So you have to figure out how to do that choice. And I kind of default to what William F. Buckley used to describe as a two-part test. I'm going to put a little extra wrinkle on that. Buckley would say he would support the most conservative person who had a chance of getting elected. I would add to, in addition to most conservative, somebody who can actually govern. And I think we've lost track of governance here in this state. It is actually the reason that we go through that ugly democratic process of elections. We owe it to our children and our parents and the disabled and our taxpayers and our citizens and every other list of people. We have to actually govern better. And there has been a failure of governance for way too long. Ted can govern. I know all of these, all the players that are here in the Republican primary, and without hesitation, Ted passed that test. He is arguably as conservative as any of the rest of them, but he can govern far better than the rest of them. And he also has the highest likelihood of actually having a chance of getting elected. This is, you can parrot a bunch of talking points. You can be a show horse instead of a workhorse. You can do all that, but if it's just for the amount of clicks you're going to get or the applause you get back home in your hometown, it's not worth the effort. We actually have to move people, and that's people from the left, the right, and the middle. We actually have to show them how we're going to govern, and that comes with a command of the issues. You will find no candidate in the history of running for governor that is more well-written and documented. Just go see his collected works. As to how he views issues and how he would approach them. So I did this simple little test. I looked at the candidates, and it was a very simple choice for me. And I recommend that choice for all the other Republican primary voters come March, that you join me in supporting Ted Dabrowski.
Thank you all for being here, and thank you for the wonderful endorsements. It's so humbling to get the kind of support that I'm getting from Bob, who's now our campaign treasurer, but in particular from Jeannie and Tom, who I've worked with for many years. And it's humbling because I can't think of, when I talk about the legislators I've worked with over the last 15 years, I can't think of the two that best represent the grassroots, the two that best represent real reform for Illinois. There's been a lot of great legislators I've talked to and worked with, but these two are the best. And they fought with me, by me, along with me, and I them, with them, trying to bring taxes down in Illinois all the time, trying to improve our schools, trying to get out control of pensions, because pensions are an albatross around Illinois' neck, and we can't create jobs when we have that kind of debt. So these were my partners, and it didn't matter what time. We would talk at midnight, we would talk anytime. And this is how I know how passionate they are as grassroots conservatives, and it's just an honor to have their support. I can't be more thankful. Along with that, today we put out a press release. We're getting some of the conservative business support from here, from Cook County and the suburbs. And when you combine that financial support, the campaign support from that community, along with the grassroots suburban support and Cook County support, it becomes powerful for our campaign. And I'm very thankful for the support I'm getting. Again, I work with a lot of the policies, a lot of the ideas, a lot of the research. It's all done it's a team effort across many great people. And so I'm thankful for that. But if we could combine those, what it starts to do is it makes our campaign the only campaign that can beat Governor Pritzker. And to be clear, the goal is to beat Governor Pritzker. His policies have made a mess of Illinois. He's had 7 years to do something about property taxes. They've only gone up under him. He doubled the gas tax. We keep losing population, although he denies it. We've had companies like Caterpillar and Boeing and Citadel and Tyson Foods. I mean, these are amazing companies. You would think that they would never leave the Chicago area, but they're gone. And does anybody care? Did Pritzker care? I think he when Griffin left, Citadel left, he just said good riddance. It's sad. So I think I'm not only speaking to Republicans today. I'm speaking to disenfranchised blacks who have seen what's happened in Chicago with the support for illegal immigration by the sanctuary laws of Johnson and Pritzker. I'm speaking to the Latinos who've struggled also under that situation where jobs have been taken away or salaries have gone down during that period. I'm talking about the disenfranchised moms who've seen their parental rights taken away by all these laws that keep stripping parents of their control over their own children. So there's a whole bunch of people out there who are disenfranchised by Governor Pritzker. They may have voted for him in the past, but they're seeing that a third term would not be good. Not to mention Governor Pritzker is more focused on running for the far left wing of the primary in the presidential election. So I think there's plenty of reasons for people to unite around our campaign. And again, it's our campaign. We're running this campaign because we want to make Illinois one of the top states in the nation for economic opportunity, for job growth, for education, for all the things that matter to us as people, as families, as communities. We've lost it, and I think Bob said it right. We've hit a really tough time where people just shrug their shoulders and say there's nothing we can do. There is something we can do, and I argue again. We are the campaign that can beat Governor Pritzker. We're the campaign. We put together all the different assets. A couple things I want to say about me that help that. We've talked about how much time I've spent educating myself on the issues of Illinois. I have the ability to talk with anybody, I don't care what side of the aisle you're on, about our problems and try to be persuasive and logical. Number two, I've had executive experience across the world. I had 16 years working overseas in Mexico and in Poland. And so I've had to work with all kinds of different groups, all kinds of different people, and get along with them and negotiate and persuade. And so that's a big part of what I do. And I'm also half Hispanic, half Polish. My mom was born in Ecuador, my father born in Poland. I want to reach out to the Hispanic community, to the Polish community, and that will help us in Cook County, because in the end, we've got to do well in Cook County. The person that beats Pritzker has to do well in Cook County, has to get the right number of votes to put them over the top. And we are that campaign. So I'm so humbled by the support of these people here. They've been great to me. I love working with them. And of course, there's a whole bunch of other people who've been so supportive of this. But thank you all for being here. Thank you to the crews here, and look forward to talking to you more. Thank you.
Do you want to take a question or two?
Sure.
Yeah,
Sure, we'll take a question or two.
great. You touched on this about repealing the state's sanctuary status. I was curious if you had some reaction to what's been going on in Chicago over the weekend. Today, we've got federal troops on the streets in Millennium Park stopping people without cause. Is that something that you support in that effort? And if governor, is that something that the state would then cooperate with the federal agents in that effort?
What I would really support, and I think, I'm not governor. Governor Pritzker's governor now, and I really wish that the governor would cooperate with the federal authorities so that we don't have to have federal authorities running around chasing people. That's point number one. And I think the governor's words have been fomenting violence and fomenting these agitators to get even more fired up. I wish Governor Pritzker would come out and say, stop. We do not want violence. We will not attack our federal authorities. They're doing their work. They have their mandate from the federal government, and that's what has to be followed. Now, that said, if I were governor, I don't think we should have a sanctuary status. I'm not sure why would we incentivize with billions of welcoming dollars that Governor Pritzker has passed. Why are we welcoming more and more illegal immigrants to Illinois? We can't even take care of our own budget right now, as was mentioned. We can't even do an audit of ourselves. Governor Pritzker should end that. So should Mayor Johnson, and we should focus on our own people first, residents first. The other thing is, well, in the end, my problem is that right now, by not cooperating with the federal authorities, we're creating more of a mess. That's the bottom line.
Of course, if you were to win the primary, you're still, it's not just Governor Pritzker has a huge financial advantage, even with these donations, but also the machine, the infrastructure of, the governor's party built, ultimately by Michael Madigan. You're David versus Goliath. How do you pull this off?
David won.
Right. Well, David won. Yes.
Any other felons you want to mention?
Look,
Yeah, any other felons you want to mention? I think Pritzker's, Madigan's had, Madigan's headed to prison. Madigan's headed to prison. And yeah, we know it's a David versus Goliath fight, but I'll tell you what, we are already meeting with people from around the state that have had it with Governor Pritzker. Not only is he stale as a politician, he's incendiary. And, as he hypes up his political profile across the nation, he is being, obviously people know what a fool he is. From his stupid comments about gerrymandering when we're in the most gerrymandered state, when he promised independent maps, the guy's a liar through and through. We're taking him on in every single neighborhood all the time, and we're going to win.
Yeah, let me add, since he won the last election, since Governor Pritzker won, right, we've had the illegal immigration crisis, and I think that's exposed everybody to his way of managing the state's finances and who his priority is. We've also had the gerrymandering case. He exposed himself again as to just how gerrymandered this state is. We don't have representation in most of the state. And then, of course, we've had this crime problem, again exposing Governor Pritzker. He refuses to put Chicago victims over criminals. So, yeah. And
One more question.
yeah, one more.
You good? From the press. Okay, Amy? Okay, go ahead.
Okay, I'm a state representative in Ohio. You understand the disparity down there on which side of the aisle. I know that you can use your executive power as a weapon of power. But what other kind of I'd be wired.
Yeah, no, I understand the powers. I think that one of the important powers that Governor Rauner didn't use properly was his power to run the departments and the agencies. It's a huge opportunity to put in your footprint of my footprint of what I'd like to do. And, when I think of the State Board of Education, when I look at how few kids can read at grade level, I would put somebody in there whose obsession is literacy and get rid of, for example, all the DEI efforts and all that. Yes, it would create a big fight between the legislature and all that, but we have to prioritize our kids first. So that's an obvious example for me. You've got to use the power of being able to put in department heads and agency heads.
And speaking intelligently.
Well, yeah, and thank you. The other part is that you'll never hear Governor Pritzker say that our kids can't read. He will only say that we have record graduation rates. He will not level with the people about how bad things are. He won't level with the people about how our population is shrinking. He keeps saying our population is growing. All you have to do is go to the U.S. Census. Our population is shrinking. He does not level with the people. J.B. Pritzker can't be trusted on virtually any real fact. And so that's the other power of the bully pulpit of the governor, telling the truth.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much for coming. Appreciate it. Ted will stick around to answer some more individual questions and meet you.